Our penultimate race, race 30 of the meeting. It is the second final for DD2. Let's have a look at the starting order. So, Matthias Lund and Paolo Besoncenet are on the front row. And it's Petr and Jakub Bezel that complete the top two rows, and the pair represent the Czech Republic. Glenn van Parijs and Martin van Leuven round out the top three rows ahead of Ville Villelainen and Zander Przyblak. Hannes Morin will be alongside Jan Gussens. Gussens will be on the inside of row number 5, and Morin completes the top 10. Frederik Jerich and Zenderua round out the top 6 rows ahead of Oliver Breidenbach and Chris Zeiders. Manuel Tenchert and Fabian Bock, that's row 8. Sebastian Legrand and Luke Scheepers, row 9. Mick Knowlton and Maxime de Riche. Oh, now as I say that, Jakub Bezel has just had a moment on the Europolan. So it looks like he might be starting. Well, we'll wonder if he might start at the back of the grid. Luca Minoretto starting from 21st, the Italian running with Buralart Baltics. In the 449, we'll have Latvia's Valters Svidris alongside Tim Mikamets and Sebastian Janchevski. That's row 12. Hannes Borda and Matis Malinovskis. And then we've also got Amerik Gerhain, Ragnar Virus, Robert Chopian, Henry Ayres, Dennis Thiem, Enzo Boulogne, Ronnie Göttler, Florian Breitenbach, Rasmus Vendelbo and Mark Bartels. And what's more, for the first race this weekend, all drivers are on slicks. I am aware that Manuel Tenchert will be tracked by another method because of a transponder. Just also a reminder that everyone that has been provided with a transponder, you do need to hand it back to scrutineering before you leave for the end of the weekend. So we are coming towards the crescendo of the weekend here at Karting Genk. It was like an ice skating ring all yesterday and for the majority of the day. But now, these drivers are the first ones, all of them. We had 13 in the Senior Road Tax Final 2 be on slicks. So we will find out what is going to happen. 14 minutes plus an additional lap in this race. So it's Denmark versus France on the front row. Matthias Lund versus Paolo Besoncenet. But more importantly, they are the ones that are controlling the rolling start. And it needs to be quickly into formation because at the back of the field, Rasmus Vendelbo and Mark Bartels will start 35th and 36th. Now things start to concertina. Let's see what happens. Are we ready? Are we steady? Lights out. Let's go racing. And Matthias Lund sprints away into the distance, and Petr Bezel follows through with him. And there is Glenn van Parijs. And he's up into second already, and he's managed to keep the remainder of the field. But Paolo Besoncenet goes up the inside of Petr Bezel going through into turn 3. Oh, now we've had a bit of a moment there, and someone's been turned around. And I think one of the karts involved might have been Luca Minoretto, well, it might have been maybe Luca Minoretto. It was 2 Buralart chassis. I had a little bit of a touching fest there. But it looked like it was the 421 of Chris Zeiders that actually got turned around. So just look at the way that they're tippy-toeing their mojo way around that turn 7. Not easy. And I have every bit of respect and admiration for every single driver out there. As now Van Parijs is now up into second position. Besoncenet is behind. Looks like Jan Gussens. Zander Przyblak, well, he's towards the bottom of the top 10. And then, well, the 410 of Martin van Leuven has now decided, well, I'm going to go around the outside of everybody, including Glenn van Parijs, and up the inside goes Petr Bezel. This is like guessing who's going to get the traction first, isn't it? You know, it's like roller dice, and if you get 7, great, you can go forward. You roll a 1, you're out of luck, you go backwards. So you had you had Martin van Leuven go round one side of Glenn van Parijs, and then Jakob Pederbezel decided to go up the other side of him. And that can just show, and the lap times speak volumes. Matthias Lund, fastest lap, 1 minute 21.4. So every single driver chanced it on slicks, and Matthias Lund is the one that is profiting most out of anybody, considering the fact that he started on pole position. But then you also have to this is, I mean, to be honest with you, this next 11 and a half minutes plus a lap, I think is going to be rather painful for a lot of these drivers. And I'm not saying that lightly either. But things are getting up to a bit more of a pace as Jakob Bezel gets up the inside of Paulo Bissonsonnet for a brief moment. But the Frenchman retaliates and manages to get the position back before turn 2. But then Bezel back up the inside. Onto the runoff area. And then Bissonsonnet just floors the throttle, and the Sodi Cut just bites into the tarmac and goes, yep, that's about right. And away he goes. And there is Bissonsonnet and Jakob Bezel coming out onto the Europalan, and Bezel up the inside of the Frenchman. And, now he had to back out of that one. I think, from my honest opinion there, it looks more like the case that Jakob Bezel was thinking, I could go for it, but I could outbrake myself here. Decided, right, I'll leave it this time. And then behind them, they've got Janne Gussens and Zenderua. And Matthias Lund has got nearly a 2.5 second advantage on the previous lap on Matthias Lund. Lund crosses the line, completing lap 3, 1 minute 13.4. Glenn van Parijs, a 1 minute 12.4. Nigh on a second quicker. And he is now within 6/10 of Paulo Bissonsonnet. And I think Bissonsonnet knows it. They go through turns 4, 5, now into 6. So these tyres have really heated up. The first few laps, you know, it's sort of like having a cold shower, isn't it? It's like, no, I don't quite like these temperatures. But then as the shower gets hotter, you then become a bit more happier. You know, you're able to use the shower in the, as it's intended. It's a bit like tyres, really. You get that operating window, and then the tyres really light up. And now we're going to see some proper dogfights, as there is one. Oh, that's a move and a half from Jakob Bezel on Paulo Bissonsonnet, who ends up running wide, and just behind him now comes Janne Gussens, and now Bissonsonnet had a massive moment. Oh, Bissonsonnet! Oh my goodness me! That was possibly Friedrich Jerich that has just got in there as well. And now it's all kicking off everywhere on the circuit. And the times have now dropped. We're into the 62s. Jakob Bezel is 62.818. And Matthias Lund is no longer in the lead. The leader is that is Martin van Leuven. Pederbezel in second, Matthias Lund in third, and there is Glenn van Parijs, and there is Jakob Bezel in the distance. So all of a sudden, the first 2.5 minutes, what was going to happen? It was about waiting. And then as soon as we hit 8.5 minutes to go, it all kicked off. So the grenade has had the pin pulled on it, ladies and gentlemen. And now, with 8 minutes to go, the quartet at the front of the field are going to go into a very cruel dogfight. And the first one to make his cards known, Glenn van Parijs, up the inside of Matthias Lund. The next one, make that possibly a scrap for the lead. Pederbezel coming under fire from Martin van Leuven from the Netherlands into turn 6. Whilst they start battling, what's going to happen now? Now, the reason why these tyres did not come in the window that they should have done, because there was a little shower on the grid. And now Van Parijs making it a three-way scrap for the lead. And there is Van Leuven going side by side with Peter Bezel. Oh, it's dog eat dog into turn number 10. And that allows Van Parijs to close in. So Van Parijs is going to try do his level best. He's currently on 11 points in the championship. Matthias Lund fading, and fading fast, because now Jakob Bezel has got past him. Glenn Van Parijs stuck his nose up the inside of Van Leuven. But Van Leuven and Peter Bezel knew it was coming. And Peter Bezel in the prime opportunity to maybe get himself on the top step of the podium at the end of the weekend. But I know Glenn Van Parijs, and I know him very, very well. He will keep pushing. He will keep fighting until the checkered flag falls. And now Van Leuven knows that. Van Leuven senses it. As Matthias Lund, the driver from Denmark in the 408, now closing on Jakob Bezel. The battle for 4th and 5th. Now, Van Parijs just lost a lot of time there. And his third place position very much under threat by the two behind. So Jakob Bezel and Matthias Lund closing on Glenn Van Parijs. So obviously the minute you hit a slight wet patch with hot slicks, chemistry 101, the cold. Oh! Not what was needed. Not what was needed there, I think. Jakob Bezel went harrying up the inside of Glenn Van Parijs. And what happened? Well, that was a 360 halfway in the air for Jakob Bezel going through the inside of turn 2. Now, the biggest thing that I have to... Now, I'm going to keep an eye on the front nose and the Nassau plate of Glenn Van Parijs. Now, Glenn Van Parijs has actually caught up with Matthias Lund. So Lund struggling. And Van Parijs, yep, that looks intact. But you can just see now they're scrabbling for traction. Fabian Bock really getting his elbows out. He's got Frederick Jerich around him. Now, where is Zander Schriblak in all of this? He's outside of the top 10 is Zander. And he's closing on the 451 of Hannes Morin. So Hannes Morin, the 2018 Senior Road Tax champion, fires it up the inside of Fabian Bock. Bock drifts wide, and then Zander Schriblak just absolutely mugs the pair of them going through into turn 2. As Lund and Van Parijs go into turn 7. Van Parijs now gets ahead of the Dane and now takes what is effectively third position. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go, plus an additional lap. And this fight is not over yet. Far from over. And there's the Schriblak train, if ever I saw it. Now, that's the first time I've called that one. Zander Schriblak at the front of that train. Matis Malinovskis is closing on... Now, we've got a time second... right. As a result of that incident, Jakob Bezel gets a 5-second time penalty from race control after that incident between himself and Glenn Van Parijs. So that train there, that's Paolo Bissonsine. He's down in 8th, having started on the front row of the grid. Behind him, he's got Zander Schriblak, Hannes Morin, Fabian Bock, Zenderua. That's a 5-way scrap over 8th place. But look, there's people closing in on them. Malinovskis up the inside of Luca Muretto there through turn 7. So the Italian having a bit more avanti behind that Birlart chassis. I'm sure he'll appreciate that one. Oh, but Sonsone goes ultra aggressive on the defence on Zander Schriblak as Fabian Bock looked up the inside of Hannes Morin going into the right-hander at turn 10. 3 minutes to go on the clock as, oh, moment there for Bissonsine. Bissonsine denied, and he actually rejoins the track coming through on the exit of the pre-grid. So Bissonsine's race and his weekend has suffered one of the biggest low blows, I think, in terms of him. And Malinovskis has just lost out majorly. So Malinovskis not having a great run either. So Bissonsine did not want that in. Whatever happened there, I'm not too sure whether he hit a wet patch with the tyre or whatever, but the kart went straight on, and he went round the cones and managed to rejoin. Thank goodness he was able to do so. And there, not too far behind Zendarua, you got Frederick Jerich and Luca Minoretto. Then Matis Malinovskis, Maxime Deriche, who's got Paolo Bissonsone breathing down his race overalls at the moment. And Bissonsone now gets past as Hannes Morin now wages war with Hannes Morin. I expected Mick Knowlton to be a bit closer to Hannes Morin, but Morin wants a bigger scalp, and that's last year's champion. But Morin runs very, very wide through turn 6, and then all of a sudden, Zana Shriblack just decides to run away into the distance. But now, Fabian Bock was in the same class as Hannes Morin back in 2018. And Bock is a far improved driver from the first time I commentated back in that season. He had a season that really wasn't to a high standard, but now he's gained a bit more experience as now Hannes Morin's got past Zendarua. Oh, that's a great move from Hannes Morin. So Zendarua now has had Hannes Morin up the inside of him through turn 12. As now we've got Luke Scheepers with Zana Shriblack. Moment for Shriblack. Coming out of the exit of turn number 3. And that is the biggest shrug I've seen as fisticuffs at dawn. The handbags are out between Hannes Morin and Zendarua. And I mean that figuratively. 35 seconds on the clock to go. And Hannes Morin has said to Zendarua, yeah, you want to fight? Come on, bring it. That's great. And now Hannes Morin says, right, Fabian Bock, you're next. Through into turn 10. The track is absolutely roasting hot with lap times. 55.065. As Morin drifts wide, closing on Bock, and he does exactly the same thing as Bissonsone, and here comes Shriblack and Zendarua up the inside of the Swede. 0 on the clock, it strikes. And of all the people that was dynamite yesterday is on the verge of a victory. It's not going to be the usual suspects like Van Parijs or Bezel or Shriblack. But Martin van Leeuwen from Scheepers Racing on the Kart Republic chassis, he's got to watch out because he's got Peter Bezel and Glenn Van Parijs trying to close in on him. Right, last lap. Van Leeuwen looks over his right shoulder. Sees Peter Bezel. He's got 5.6 tenths of a second advantage going into the final tour. And normally, Yannick Gersens and Luke Scheepers do a great job for Scheepers Racing. But Martin van Leeuwen, you have arrived, my friend. But it depends on how quickly Peter Bezel decides to strike. He's got to strike hard, fast, and clinical. He's got to make that move done the right way. If he doesn't, race control will jump all over him. But now they head through to turn 10 for the final time. Van Leeuwen just needs to park it on every apex. Hit power out of the corners correctly. And he he needs to look forward through into turn 12 for the final time. Out of the final corner, after a dramatic DD2 final 2, Martin van Leeuwen from the Netherlands wins here at Karting Genk. Oh my goodness. And he wins by 0.2 of a second ahead of Peter Bezel. Glenn Van Parijs takes P3. Matthias Lund started on pole, dropped all the way towards the bottom part of the top 10 and takes P5. Or P4. Jakob Bezel, Yannick Gustens, Luke Scheepers, Fabian Bock in 8th. Zendarua, Zander Shriblack, Hannes Morin, Frederick Jerich. Now, obviously, we can't forget about the fact that Jakob Bezel, he's got a get-out-of-jail-free card because his 5-second time penalty will not drop him down the order, so he remains 5th. So, behind Zander Shriblack, 11th is Hannes Morin, Frederick Jerich, Luca Minoretto up to 13th, Paolo Bissonsone. What could have been Mon Dieu, 14th. Tim Mikametz, as there is Mick Knowlton, and that is the 462 of Ville line, and they didn't even make the finish. Oh no, disaster for the pair of them. So 15th onwards, Tim Mikametz, Ronny Göttler, Sebastian Janchevsky, Florian Breitenbach, Maxime Deriche, Rasmus Vendelbo, Chris Seiders, Hannes Border, Robert Chopian, Sebastian Dragond, Ragnar Verus, Oliver Breitenbach, and Mark Bartels. They round out the top 27. Matis Malinovskis. Henry Ayres finishes 29th in what has been a very character-building weekend for the Brits, based out of southern Essex, with Aymeric Guérin, the last of the 30 finishers after that action-packed pendulum-swinging race. I think I need to breathe right now. But what a win for Martin van Leeuwen from the Netherlands. What a DD2 race to round off this first weekend of the season for them.